Welcome to your weekly horoscope for May 24th to May 30th, 2021. Now, this week a lot is happening. Technically, Saturn retrograde is on May 23rd, but I'm going to talk about it as for this week. I'm also going to talk about the eclipse that happens on May 26th and the fact that Mercury goes retrograde this week in the sign of Gemini. I will also talk about how this week pans out for each of the signs. So let's get started, and please do hit the subscribe button. Alright, so the first thing that I want to talk about is Saturn retrograde. Now, technically, as I mentioned, it's happening on May 23rd, which is a Sunday. However, I'm going to include it in this week's horoscope and we'll talk all about it because it's a big, big, big deal. Now, what is Saturn and what is Saturn retrograde? Saturn is a planet that rules restrictions, hard work, discipline, authority, and the tough path. When it is direct, which it has been since October of 2020, we are focused on doing a lot of hard work. We are focused on creating active karma. And when Saturn is direct, it's not an easy time because we are forced to work. We're forced to forge our path. We're forced to lay down karma. Now, when it goes retrograde, the pressure eases off. However, we do get rewards for the work done or not done. So it really depends on what you did when Saturn was direct, which was from October of 2020. And then now, till October of 2021. Saturn will reward you based on the work that you've put in. Okay, so that's happening on May 23rd. And this Saturn is the second major planet to go retrograde. Pluto went retrograde on April 27th. All right, and what's Pluto? Pluto is our fears, it's our control issues, it's our psychology. And it was also direct from October of 2020. And since then, till April 27th, we worked on our fears, on our control issues, on our psychology, on getting better, on healing, on rebirthing ourselves, so to speak. Okay? And when it went retrograde on April 27th, the pressure for those things eased off as well. The pressure to directly work on our fears, control issues, psychology eased off. However, we did start to reap the rewards of the work put in or not put in. Now, when planets begin to go retrograde, and one by one they will, starting with Pluto, April 27th, Pluto went retrograde, and now Saturn is going retrograde on May 23rd. It means the forward movement for the year has slowed down. It means whatever active work you had to put in has slowed down. Neptune will go retrograde soon as well, and that will mean further slowing down of things. This week, Mercury also goes retrograde, which means more slowdowns. All right. So that's the first thing that's happening. Saturn is retrograding. All right. And it will come direct on 10th October 2021. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we have a lunar eclipse on May 26th. Now, why is this important? It is important because eclipses are extremely, extremely important. Eclipses speed up events and time. Eclipses are karmic and destined events. So, whatever part the eclipse touches in your chart, and I'll tell you what part it's going to touch in your particular chart based on your sun sign and rising sign towards the end of the video, that will see the most change. Okay, this is a lunar eclipse. Now, lunar eclipses are typically associated with emotional releases and endings. So there's something probably that you've been holding on to emotionally, kept inside yourself, that you will begin to release on this eclipse. And whatever part the eclipse touches in your chart, you will receive some kind of information. You'll receive some sort of download, so to speak, regarding that particular area in your life. Now, this is especially important for those whose birthday is around May 26th. When an eclipse happens close to your birthday, it's a big, big, big big deal, and it's going to affect you quite majorly. It's going to be an important year for you astrologically. Okay, so that's what an eclipse is. Generally, eclipses also bring about big events. Okay, they, like I said, speed up time. So if there was something that's waiting to happen for you and hasn't happened, it can happen on an eclipse. Now, depending on your particular chart, the eclipse may be positive for you or negative for you. All right, now when I do the eclipse video, I will get into the details of the chart for you guys. However, in this video, I'm not going to break down the aspects. Just know that eclipse is going to happen. I'm going to tell you which part of your chart it's going to happen on, and it's going to change things. It's going to speed things up. It's going to bring about big events, karmic events, destined events. All right. And since it's an lunar eclipse, it's going to release energy, it's going to release emotional energy. It can also be an ending of something. All right. Okay. So the next thing, oh, but there is something that I do want to mention without getting into the chart, which is that Mars on the day of the eclipse will be at 20 degrees. Okay. Now, this is extremely important because Mars is a planet that can release the energy of an eclipse. See, eclipses stay with us for a long time. They can stay with us for 6 months at least, but even longer depending on the eclipse. Now, coming back to Mars, Mars is at 20 degrees on the day of the eclipse. We had an eclipse in Jan of 2020 at 20 degrees, okay, at the same spot. What this means is Mars is coming over and releasing the eclipse energy of Jan of 2020. And that eclipse energy was not easy either. We've released 3 eclipse energies in the past 1 month. First was on April 23rd, then I believe was on May 10th, and now this is the third eclipse spot Mars is hitting and releasing the energy of. In the past month, we've gotten rid of a lot of energy that has been with us since 2019, July, since last June 2020, and now Jan of 2020. So we're cleaning things up. However, it's happening on the day we have another eclipse. So we are cleaning up energy, eclipse energy, but we are going to imbibe the new eclipse energy. Okay. And this eclipse is a full moon. Okay. Full moon is when the sun and the moon are in opposition. They're opposing each other, making a 180-degree angle. And the sun is our identity and the moon is our emotional body. And when they oppose, it feels stressful. But full moons are also the point where you can see clearly, you can see things clearly. It is the brightest night of the month. And it's also the time when things culminate, when things reach their highest point. Okay. What I'm trying to say is this full moon is the culmination, full moon eclipse is the culmination of something. And what is that something? That something is the cycle that began for us in December of 2020. December 14th, there was a new moon solar eclipse. Okay, and that was a very positive one. And we began something around then. And now we are seeing that culminate. Whatever we planted in December of 2020, December 14th, with the new moon, with the solar eclipse new moon, now we're seeing it culminate. Okay, so that's happening on May 26th. And by the way, it's happening at 5 degrees of Gemini and Sag, that axis. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is that Mercury goes retrograde. Okay. Now, this is not such a big deal as compared to, say, Saturn going retrograde or Pluto going retrograde, because Mercury goes retrograde 2-3 times a year. Okay. And whereas Saturn and Pluto, they go retrograde once a year, but they retrograde for about 4-5 months. Mercury is going to retrograde for about 3 weeks or so. And what does Mercury retrograde mean in general? Mercury is our mind, it's communication, it's technology, it's the internet, it's computers, it's our day-to-day routine, it's our health, it's our diet, all right? And when it goes retrograde, we start to, communication becomes a problem, technology becomes a problem, gadgets become a problematic. And it's also the time where we review things. Okay, even in Saturn retrograde, we will review things. Pluto retrograde too. Review what? Review what we did in the direct movement. Review what we did since October. And think about, okay, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. It's a review period also. Similarly, Mercury retrograde is a review period. And it's going to go retrograde in the sign of Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini, so it's not a very difficult retrograde, I would say. So communication can suffer, things can seem a bit slow, travel can suffer, transportation can suffer, gadgets can malfunction. Okay, that's Mercury retrograde, but it's also a time to review our mental processes, review our communication. And in some way, shape, or form, the past does come up with Mercury retrograde for us to review and resolve. And Mercury was in the same space. It's going to cover 16 degrees to 24 degrees of Gemini. It was in the same space between August 2nd and August 17th of 2020. So something around then might come back into your life. All right. And to sum up the energy of the week, things will start to slow down with Saturn retrograde. The eclipse will speed things up in certain ways, in karmic ways. Whatever is destined will come to you. And Mercury retrograde will slow down communication. Emails may not go through. It is going to help you review what you went through in the recent past, as well as between 2nd August and 17th August 2020 specifically. And now I'm going to talk about what this week means for each sign. So I'm going to begin with Aries. Now for you, Aries, Saturn retrograde is in your 11th house, okay? Saturn has been in your 11th house. 11th house is the house of friends, hopes, goals, and dreams. It's also the internet and technology. It's also who you are, your authentic self. So Saturn has been in your 11th house since December of 2020 for good. And it's been putting this area of your life in check. And Saturn, when it enters a particular house, as it has for you, the 11th house, friends, social circle, the authentic you, your hopes, goals, and dreams, it's going to put that house in order. However, when Saturn is transiting a particular house, it feels difficult. It feels like you're being pulled up. And now you've done the work in your 11th house. You've done the work in your social circle, in finding out who you are and working on your hopes, goals, and dreams. And now with Saturn retrograde, you'll see the rewards come if you've put in the work. The pressure will begin to ease off. So that's the first thing that's happening for you this week. For you, Aries, the lunar eclipse is in your 3rd and 9th house axis. 3rd house is all about communication, and 9th house is all about hopes and beliefs in religion and faith. It's also travel. So it's highlighting travel for you. It's highlighting your mind. It's highlighting communication. It's highlighting your faith and your belief system. The eclipse will highlight these areas of your life. And Mercury is also going to retrograde in your 3rd house. 3rd house is the house of the mind, communication, perception, writing. Again, these are the areas that you will need to review. So, to sum it up for you, Aries, Saturn will bring you rewards for the work put in towards your 11th house, which is all about your social circle, your acquaintances, your hopes, goals, and dreams, technology if you're into that, internet if you're into that, and finding out who you are authentically. Second thing for you, Aries, is the lunar eclipse will highlight your 3rd and 9th house. A lot of communication, perception, religion, faith, belief system, publishing, if you're into that, will be highlighted. And Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house will definitely make you review communication, your mind, your siblings, your immediate environment. Now I'm going to move on to Taurus. Taurus, for you, Saturn is retrograding in your 10th house. 10th house is the house of the career. Saturn has been in your 10th house since December of 2020 for good. And what does that mean? Saturn is a planet, when it comes up, it demands hard work, discipline, dedication, and it puts things in order in that particular sphere of your life, in this case, your career, Taurus. You've been working very hard on your career, and it hasn't been easy. Saturn retrograde will ease the pressure off, and you will start to see rewards if you have put in the work in terms of your career. The lunar eclipse for you, Taurus, will happen in your second and eighth house axis. Second house is the house of possessions, and the eighth house is the house of hidden things. It's the house of taboo, it's the house of personal karma. So, the axis that's being highlighted for you is of your self worth, your skills, your values, your finances, and your personal karma. The eclipse will bring to light these things in your life. Mercury is also retrograding in your second house, meaning you will need to review things pertaining to your self worth, skills, values, and finances. All right. Now, Gemini, Saturn is retrograding in your ninth house. It has been in your ninth house for good since December of 2020. And when Saturn transits a particular house, it puts things in order in that house. It demands hard work, discipline, and decisions in that particular house. In this case, your faith, your belief system, publishing if you're into that, law if you're into that, foreign travel if you're into that. And now with Saturn retrograde, the work you've put in to your belief system, your faith, your religion, your publishing if you're into that, and traveling will start to come about. Saturn will begin to reward you, the pressure will ease off. The eclipse for you is happening in your first and seventh house, Gemini. First and seventh house axis, the eclipse is going to highlight you and your relationships, your friendships, your marriage, your legal issues, if you have any. But it's going to be about you and your partnerships and relationships. That's what the eclipse will highlight for you. And Mercury is going to retrograde in your first house, Gemini. You will need to review things associated with who you are, your identity, and your leadership skills. Cancer, Saturn is retrograding in your eighth house. It has been in the eighth house since December of 2020. When Saturn is in a particular house, it demands hard work, discipline, and action pertaining to the areas ruled by the eighth house. Eighth house is personal karma. So you might be going through karmic things since December of 2020, even before, but definitely since December of 2020. And Saturn going retrograde means you will start to see the rewards if you have put in the work in your personal karma, in investments if you have any, in hidden taboo things. Intimacy is also one of those areas, Cancer. And the eclipse for you will happen on your 12th and 6th house axis. 12th house is all about spirituality. It's connecting with the higher realm. It's activities such as meditation. It's also addictive activities. And the 6th house is your day-to-day routine. It's your diet, it's your health, it's your job. So these are the areas that will bring to light with the eclipse. Now Mercury is retrograding in your 12th house. You will need to review your spirituality. If you have been indulging in any addictive activities, you will need to review those, and that's what this week will bring for you. Leo, Saturn is retrograding in your 7th house. It entered your 7th house in December of 2024 good, and since then you've been working on relationships and possibly marriage. If you're not married, you may find a partner. If you are married, then you may be working on your marriage. And Saturn, wherever it is, does not feel good. It does put things in order, but it demands hard work, discipline, and decisions. So that's what you've been working on, Leo. And now you will start to reap the rewards in terms of your relationships with others, marriage, if you are married, or you may get married or move in that direction if you're not married. And the eclipse for you, Leo, will happen on your 11th and 5th house axis. 11th house is social circle, hopes, dreams, goals, and the 5th house is romance, pleasure, children. So that's the area the eclipse is going to highlight. So 7th house focus, marriage, children, social circle, a lot of social elements for you this week. And Mercury is going to retrograde in your 11th house. You may begin to review your hopes, goals, and dreams, your social circle, your acquaintances, who you are, you may begin to review. All right. Virgo, Saturn is retrograding in your 6th house. all right? And it has been in your sixth house since December of 2020 for good. When Saturn comes into a house, it puts the affairs of that house in order. In this case, your health, your day-to-day routine, your job. And now you will start to see the rewards for the work that you've put in, Virgo, in terms of your health, your diet, your routine, your job. Okay? And the eclipse for you, Virgo, is happening on your 10th and 4th house axis. This is an extreme illumination of your career, 10th house, and your family, 4th house. Okay, so the family career axis will be illuminated with this eclipse. Things may come about in those areas of your life, and Mercury will also retrograde in your 10th house, meaning you will have to review things associated with your career. Libra, for you, Saturn is going to retrograde in your 5th house, and it has been in your 5th house since December of 2020 for good. And when Saturn enters a house, it puts things in order connected to the affairs of that house. But it does not feel easy. It demands hard work, discipline, and decision. Libra, you have been working very hard on 5th house things, romance, hobbies, children, the stock market if you're into that. And now is the time you'll see the rewards if you have put in the work. Now, Libra, the eclipse for you is happening on your 9th and 3rd house axis. 9th house is the house of belief systems, faith, religion, publishing, foreign travel, and the 3rd house is your immediate environment. It's your siblings, it's your mind, it's communication. So the eclipse will highlight these areas of your life. Mercury is also retrograding in your 9th house, making you review things associated with your faith, belief system, publishing, and foreign travel. Okay? Scorpio, for you, Saturn is retrograding in your 4th house. It has been in your 4th house since December of 2020 for good. And when Saturn enters a house, it cleans things up, it puts things in order, but the process does not feel easy. It demands hard work, discipline, and decisions. So, Scorpio, you have been working very hard on your emotions, on your family, on your foundation, on building a home, and now you will begin to see the rewards if you have put in the work. The eclipse for you, Scorpio, happens in your 8th and 2nd house axis. Now, this brings to light personal karma, and it brings to light money, finances, self-worth, and skills. So the eclipse on May 26th will highlight these two things majorly. Mercury retrograde also happens in your 8th house. 8th house is the house of personal karma. It's the house of intimacy. Those are the things you will be reviewing as Mercury is in retrograde. Sagittarius, Saturn retrograde for you happens in your 3rd house. Saturn has been in your 3rd house properly since December of 2020. You have been working very hard on your communication, on your immediate environment, on your siblings, on writing if you've been writing. And now you'll begin to see the rewards if you've put in the work in these areas of your life. The eclipse for you, Sagittarius, happens on your 7th and 1st house axis. This brings to light your marriage, your business partnerships, your relationships with others, and your identity, who you are. So that's what the eclipse is going to highlight. Mercury is retrograding in your 7th house, meaning you will have to review things associated with your marriage, with your business partnerships, and legal issues if you have any. Capricorn, Saturn is retrograding in your 2nd house, and Saturn has been in your 2nd house properly since December of 2020. And when Saturn is in a particular house, it cleans up that house, it puts things in order. However, the process does not feel easy. It demands hard work, discipline, and decisions. And since December of 2020, Capricorn, you have been working very hard on your skills, your self-worth, on your values, and your finances. And now you will begin to see the rewards this week if you have put in the work. The eclipse for you, Capricorn, happens on your 6th and 12th house axis. The eclipse will highlight your health, your job, your service, and it will highlight your spirituality, your connection to the divine realm. It may also highlight addictive activities if you have been engaging in those. All right. And Mercury will retrograde in your 6th house, meaning you will have to really think about and review your health, your job, your diet, your day to day routine. All 6th house matters. Aquarius, Saturn is retrograding in your 1st house. It has been in your 1st house since December of 2020. And when Saturn is in a particular house, it does not feel easy. It cleans up things related to those areas in your life, but it does not feel easy. It demands hard work, discipline, and decisions. So since December, Aquarius, you've been working very hard on you, who you are, how the world sees you, your appearance. All right. And now Saturn retrograde will bring you rewards. It'll ease off the pressure if you have put in the work. The eclipse for you, Aquarius, happens in on your 5th and 11th house axis, which means the eclipse will highlight the house of romance for you, pleasure, the stock market, children, acquaintances, friends, hopes, goals, and dreams, the internet. Those are the areas that the eclipse will highlight for you, Aquarius. Mercury will retrograde in your 5th house, making you review matters associated with romance, hobbies, children, the stock market. Pisces, Saturn is retrograding in your 12th house. It has been in your 12th house since December of 2020 properly. And when Saturn is in a particular house, it cleans up areas associated with that house. However, the process does not feel easy. It demands discipline, hard work, and decisions. And for you, Pisces, you have been working on your subconscious mind. You've been working on your spirituality. You've been working on cleaning up any addictive activities if you have been indulging in those. And the lunar eclipse for you, Pisces, happens in your 4th and 10th house axis, which means the eclipse on May 26th will highlight your family and your career very powerfully. Mercury will also retrograde in your 4th house, meaning you will have to review matters associated with the family foundation, home, and your emotions, your deepest, darkest emotions. And to sum up this week, this is one of the very important weeks in astrology, and a lot is happening. Saturn is retrograding. Eclipse season has begun this week. Mercury is going retrograde. We have another eclipse coming up on June 10th, which we will talk about. So a lot is happening. This is a potent week, and I would say this is a week where the energy begins to shift, where you begin to see rewards, where things start to slow down a little bit, but at the same time, there'll be something particular in your life that'll come out of nowhere. And that's what the horoscope for this week is. I wanted to keep it short and I wanted to give you the highlights of the week, so to speak. Now, if you want a detailed analysis of the chart, which I do every day, you can watch my daily horoscopes to know the energy hour by hour. And it's on my channel, so you'll find those. Those are the daily horoscopes. And I've done a video of Jupiter in Pisces because Jupiter's changed signs on May 13th and what that means for each sign. I'll put the description in the link below, put the link in the description below, sorry, and you guys can watch that as well if you want. So that's all for this week. Do hit the subscribe button and I will see you guys next time. Bye.